Hey everyone, before we get started on this video, I just wanted to add this little piece. In the description, there is a link to a Google Doc form thing, and it is a giant list of Alterhuman resources. And if you start at the top of the page and follow along while while watching this video, you can get a better understanding as to where I am in the document, because that's what I'm reading off of during this video. So if you want this video to be a little easier to digest, since I don't have like text on screen to kind of guide you, check that document out, open it up, and like have this video playing, and we pretty much just move from top to bottom on that document. So feel free to check that out and use those resources in that document. Like, there's tons of links to so many helpful things, things that people in the Alterhuman community have created, and I think it would be incredibly useful to so many people. So do with it what you will and enjoy the video. What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Going with the very odd theme for this month, just covering filler topics, and the only thing that unifies them is that they all start with the letter A, because I couldn't figure out what to do for this month. This won't happen often. I'm just trying to find a buffer before Pride Month. So May is just kind of, it's all over the place a little bit. It's still identity related, but I didn't have a specific theme in mind for like the overarching topic or narrative. But I wanted to talk about Alterhumanity. It's more of a revisit. I've talked about alterhuman identities on this channel before, and it was before I had any kind of like super good in-depth understanding of myself and the overall alterhuman community. So I just wanted to go over just generally alterhuman as a term, what falls under it, and really try to cover my bases here, because a lot of alterhuman specific topics tend to skew more toward non-human identities, which is correct. Non-human falls under alterhuman, but there's so many other terms that fall under it that are not non-human identities, but alternative to humanity. That's what alterhuman means. It's an identity that is alternative to the human experience. Some people prefer saying alter being, so that they're not referencing humanity in a term meant to kind of distance yourself from human experience. So the most common one that people talk about is Otherkin. There's also therian, and as of right now, there isn't really much of a distinction between Otherkin and therian, other than like a personal preference of label, or rather animalistic Otherkin versus therian. Therians are animalistic Otherkin for the most part. It typically doesn't deal with concepts or like things that are non-human but are also not animals. So there's a slight distinction, but I think the general misinformation that goes around is that therians are specifically like animalistic or earthen animals. Like, there's more of an animality to it. Like, other kin might not act as much like their non-human kin types, whereas like therians might, but that is not the case at all. There's a discussion going on right now trying to figure out where the earthen animal only rumor started, because therian has always been a lot more flexible than that, and even I thought that that was the definition of therian, was that it was earth animals, and then it expanded a little to like animalistic animals, more instinctual driven. But there really is no difference between animalistic otherkin and therians. It depends on like if you want to call them kin types or stereotypes, meaning what you are relating your identity to. So a kin type is the animal or concept or plant or thing that you are. Stereotype is the same. You're a therian, and your type is like any kind of animal, plant, concept, character, anything at all. So Otherkin and therian kind of go hand in hand. As of right now, it really is a preference of label. There's Otherhearted, which is when you feel a very strong connection to an animal, a plant, a concept, a character, anything that is not a literal existing human. So like, even if they're human characters, otherheartedness includes, human-like experiences as well. Even like humans that are not in the sapiens species. I saw someone who was some kind of Neanderthalkin, I believe, something like that. So like, it's not inherently non-human, but otherhearted means that you have a very strong connection to a concept or a thing in such a way that it affects your identity. You can have likes, you can have favorites, you can have special interests, hyperfixations, but otherheartedness means that it affects your identity. Either you identify as that thing, or you identify with it on a spiritual level. So you like, it's deeply ingrained in your spirituality or your psychology. So otherheartedness, involuntary, voluntary. I wasn't going to get too deep into that. There is the whole issue of people saying they kin things, and it just means they heavily relate to things. I gotta tell you, I hate that so much. Like, yes, language can be flexible, but don't take other people's language to suit your experience. There's so many other things you could be saying than I kin this, and then you're not otherkin. You just can't, like, you can't say I kin this and you're saying that you just really like this character. That gets a little annoying. That's a whole thing in and of itself. Not to mention people misunderstanding kin for fun, meaning being otherkin for fun or having fun with being otherkin, and not understanding it's a discussion around claiming that you just decide to be otherkin and then you decide to stop being otherkin. Like, I don't know. There's a whole discussion about it. I'm rambling like crazy. I've had so much coffee today, but I'm looking at a list of things. So there was Otherhearted. I believe it started as like a animal-hearted type thing, and it expanded to other types of identity, other aspects of identity. Your heart type is the thing that you are connecting with. So you have kin types for otherkin, stereotypes for therians, heart types for otherheartedness. There's fiction kin, which kind of fits into its own category. I put it in its own category here, just because it's pretty unique, and there's so much. There's like a lot of little aspects that go into the fiction kin identity. So it is kind of on its own, but it does fall under otherkin. It's just having a kin type that comes from fictional media, and it could really be anywhere, anything at all. Human characters, non-human characters, a number of things. I'm willing to bet fiction kin also includes like object kin from fiction. I bet that's a thing. I have not seen anything like that, but I bet that's something you could find if you like really looked into it. Coping linkers are people who tend to have almost an otherhearted level of connection to an animal or a concept, and it can be a form of coping with mental illness, a form of dissociation. It's also called being an other linker. If you coping link, or if you engage in coping linking, it just means that you are connecting with something kind of on that same deep level as otherheartedness. let me see. It's typically consciously created is what the distinction is. So you are consciously creating an identity for yourself. If you're otherhearted, that tends to come about in an involuntary way or an unconscious way. The voluntary-involuntary thing has gotten a little out of hand because you can definitely choose kind of how your kin type is represented, how your kin type is like looks if you don't have like any idea on the species or the source. There's a number of voluntary things that go into the alterhuman experience. But yeah, for the most part, coping linking is a conscious identity created typically out of necessity. That can also, it's very similar to like conscious plurality. I don't want to say endogenic plurality. That just means like you are a system not based in trauma, but it doesn't mean automatically that it's a voluntary identity. But there are voluntary plural identities out there for sure. I'll be covering plurality in a minute. But yeah, coping linking. Oh, plurality is literally listed right here. So plurality is I've talked about this on the channel in the past. It is basically more than one consciousness residing in the same body. Sometimes it comes about from childhood trauma. Your compartmentalized pieces of your mind, your thought, your consciousness don't like they're separated. There's barriers between them. They form into their own identities, their own personalities. I don't want to say personalities. It's not called multiple personality disorder anymore. Though I've had people armchair diagnose me with that for saying that I have more than one gender. We're in 2025. We're still dealing with this. And it's not like a psychosis kind of thing. It's not schizophrenia. It literally is just more than one consciousness in the same body, and plurality exists outside of the medical use of the term. In fact, the medical use of the term encompasses a lot of different experiences. It doesn't have to be trauma-based. Sometimes it's a different kind of trauma. It doesn't have to be childhood, but sometimes systems form due to the childhood consciousness not forming as a cohesive singular identity and instead splits off into like multiple beings, and they can form and kind of refine themselves so that they are multiple people. For some people, it's not multiple human people. Sometimes it's, I was going to say animal characters. It can be, especially as a coping mechanism. It can be characters from media, but it could also just be like mythical creatures or something that's like non-human that resides in the consciousness. Sometimes it blurs, sometimes there's distinction between them. The traumagenic versus endogenic argument, traumagenic meaning originating from trauma, endogenic meaning endo's within, right? Yeah, not externally. Like exogenic would be forming from an outside source, instead the origins from within. It doesn't mean that it's like involuntary versus voluntary. That seems a little weird to me. I've got so many words for it and so little time to explain, especially since I don't want to be stuck on the plurality part of explaining alterhumanity, but plurality can happen from a bunch of different sources. Some people, their systems, their headmates, the consciousnesses inside the body, sometimes they formed partially from trauma and then partially from some other source. It's its own category of being. It just falls under alterhuman. A lot of people don't realize that if you're a system, you fall under the alterhuman umbrella. You don't have to. It's like how non-binary people technically fall under the trans umbrella, but you also don't have to like call yourself trans just because you're non-binary. It's all preference of labels. There's a number of like kind of subsets of labels. Under therian, you would have like theriomythic, which is mythical creatures within like a therian identity. Cladotherians, usually you are generally multiple things within the same clade. That could mean anything within the same genus, within the same family. Like you could be multiple species of caniform, which that's anywhere from dogs to seals to bears. It just depends on, like it's a pretty flexible term. There's paleotherians. These are typically people who are their stereotypes are extinct in this existence. There's fictives, which are headmates from fictional sources. So that's where you might get somebody who has a headmate that's from like fictional media. That would be a fictive. Fiction flickers, which are people who tend to switch rapidly between fictional identities. So a temporary fictional identity, you temporarily identify as a fictional character, and then it kind of like sort of phases in and out. Phases as in changes, or flickering, not phases as in it's a phase, not in that kind of way. Man, there are so many. Furry lifestylers actually fall under the alterhuman umbrella. So like furries are alterhumans. It is a form of animal roleplay, character roleplay, and sometimes that's part of the like the experience of other linking, or you could roleplay as your stereotypes or kin types, because sometimes you just don't have like, not a basis, you don't have like a source to go to really. Like the roleplay is probably the best way to be able to be yourself. So role-playing can really happen within any main alterhuman identity, really. But furries are definitely part of it. Thought forms are voluntarily or consciously created headmates. People call them tulpas. I think generally that word is kind of falling out. I don't have enough information to have an opinion on that. I don't think people really asked those who are in the culture that does tulpamancy or where tulpamancy originates from. I don't think people ever left room for people from that culture to even have an opinion. I think they just saw it came from somewhere else, another culture, it's appropriative, so people prefer thought form. Tulpamancy is a spiritual practice, but I thought it fell within Buddhism, which is an open faith. Buddhism is an open spirituality. So I don't know. It's like Shintoism. It's an open thing. It's not a religion, but it's an open spiritual practice. So I don't know what the problem was there. And I didn't look enough into it because it's not a topic that really interested me that much, but thought forms are consciously created and are other words for tulpas, consciously created headmates. Phytanthrope is an old-fashioned one. So plant-identified therians. So your therian type is some kind of plant, and that does include trees because those are plants. The only difference is size. Like legit, tree is not like a definitive like grouping or family of plant. It just depends on how big they grow, or rather, they have to produce wood, I guess, which you can't usually do if you're like smaller than a certain size. But I guess really small plants can produce wood, and that would make them trees. I don't know. So polymorph, they're typically energy beings. They're not tied to a physical form. They're fluid. They have, it's almost like, what do you call it? Oh no, I'm missing the word. Shape-shifting, mimicking, shape-shifting, having a lack of a physical form. Polymorph is kind of a general term, not general, but like it's a pretty broad term for entities that do not have a given shape, or can change their shape at will. They are made of energy and they're ever changing, and there's a number of ways that somebody might like change to fit the polymorph definition. Polykin just means that you have more than one kin type. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If I remember, I will link this gigantic Alterhuman resource document that I put together a long time ago. It was a month or two ago. I just started like hoarding resources sounds bad. Compiling tons and tons of resources. I have people's firsthand experiences. I have discussions. I have terminology, guides for questioning under each of the terms that I explained, at least the main ones. So it's Otherkin, therian, Otherhearted, fictionkin, coping linker, and plurality. Under all of those are these individual things like the terminology, the discussions, the questioning guides, and all that. I have lists of people's blogs. I have essays. I have identity-related essays that people wrote. Some key websites. So, the Otherkin Wiki and all the individual websites belonging to some like prominent folks on Tumblr who talk about Alterhumanity and have like a pretty big platform in the discussion of Alterhumanity. I have a list of non-human friendly games, browser games and console games that you could play, PC games, definitions of some specific like important terminology. I tried my best to credit the people who created a lot of these websites, these blogs, these essays. That's pretty much it. That is Alterhumanity. A long-ish video, but still in a nutshell. Because the best way that you're going to learn more about these experiences is like really digging deep and like listening to other people's experiences, like reading their zines, reading their essays, checking out their websites, just seeing what kinds of experiences people have with this. That's pretty much it. I just wanted one really good, updated, what Alterhumanity is type video. And other than that, I'm signing off for now. See you later.